feet are shining bright. It's time for the children to twink and Starlight.
Hey color kids, it's Katie Carty Hiley of RainbowBrite.net. Welcome back to the Rainbow Land Museum. Much sooner than I thought I would be welcoming you back. Now, I really didn't think I would have anything else of note to video for the rest of this year, because nothing else new is coming out between now and the end of 2015, except for, I need to do my video tour of the museum. I know! That's coming. But I didn't think I would have any more tour review type things to do until next year. But I visited my Hallmark store yesterday and found something that I thought was interesting. Not all of you are going to care. Not all of you are going to run out and buy these. This is like the really super uber collector like myself. We're the only people that are going to care about this. But I thought it was interesting and wanted to at least show you what I'm talking about so you can make up your own mind if you care or not. Because I just went to Hallmark yesterday because I was in the area and I just wanted to look at the Rainbow Brite dolls like I always do. And I was just handling Twink and I happened to turn him over for whatever reason and noticed his tag was different. Look at this gray tag. He's never had that before. So that of course made me go, what else is different about this Twink? And I looked at the date on his tush tag and he was produced in November. Okay, which is different. The other Twinks, Starlights, Itty Bitties, were all manufactured in June. The only thing that was manufactured later than that was the 16-inch Rainbow Brite, who was manufactured in September. And the Jumbo. They were manufactured in September, but everything else was from June. But this guy is from November. It also says it on his hand tag, November 15. And then I got to looking at the other dolls, and Starlight, November. 16-inch Rainbow Brite, November. Itty Bitty Rainbow Brite and Twink, November. The 4-pack of Itty Bitties, November. Suffice to say, I spent a lot of money at Hallmark yesterday that I was not planning to spend. But, so this is the second run, is what this is. That means they've run out of the first number of dolls they produced, and now they're making more, which is excellent news. That means these guys are actually selling really well. It's not just that we think they are, they actually are, because they're having to make more to keep up with demand. So it was actually really happy, good news when I saw that, even if it did cost me some money, because I had to have all of them. So I'm happy about that. I'm happy that they went into production, as soon as they saw the need, so that they would be in stores for the holidays. So super happy about all of that. The only item that I think they're currently making a second run of that I did not see was the book. And it's been out of stock online for at least the last couple of weeks or so. So I think they're probably just behind on that one, and it might not make it back out to shelves in Hallmark stores before Christmas. But I feel sure it will be back soon. So once those start coming back in, I'll definitely be looking at the date on those and see if they're also November or later. And if it is, I'll have to get it because I'm silly. But anyway, this is the easiest way to tell on the big dolls. Twink, Starlight, and Rainbow Brite all have this new gray tag that they did not have before. And then the tush tag itself looks pretty much the same. It just has a different date. And then this has the different date. Now, I did, of course, compare them all to the ones I already had to see if there were any actual design differences. And not really, but there are a few slight ones. So these are not differences I feel are big enough that are going to make you necessarily want to go out and get another one. They're very slight differences. So this is really only for people who are crazy like myself. Crazy in a good way, because yeah, we have to have all the rainbow things. So anyway, his arms, at least on this one, and again, this may just be this one, it's not necessarily all of the ones produced in November, are a bit understuffed compared to the others. As you see, this arm keeps just falling back, whereas with my other two Twinks, their arms are nice and stiff, so they stick up really well, and this one's sticking up fine. But this guy, yeah, and it may just be this tag is weighing him down a little bit. but I think even without the tag, he'd be doing that. So anyway, but other than that, looks exactly the same as the other Twink. So let me pull up Starlight here. Same thing, gray tag, made in November. It also says November on here. Now he is a little bit shorter than my other two Starlights. I measured him and it was anywhere from like 1/2 inch to 1 inch shorter. Now the rest of his dimensions are the same, like the length, the width, I think the width and diameter of his legs and everything, that all seems to be the same. He's just a little bit shorter. But his fur, not his fur, his hair, his mane, his tail, the same beautiful, same quantity of yarn, nothing has gone downhill, he's still a beautiful, beautiful guy. But he's just a little bit shorter than the others. But again, this may just be the one I picked out. They may not all be shorter, but it's just something to keep in mind. So there he is. And I think his face is a little bit smaller than the other two as well, or a little bit thinner. But again, not a huge difference. Nothing you need to like run out and be like, hey, I want the shorter one instead of the taller one. I really don't think a normal person would notice the difference at all. This is just, I noticed the date difference, so now I'm noticing all the differences. Rainbow herself, also November, also has the new gray tag. It says Hallmark. And the main thing I noticed on her right away, her boots are a bit fatter. Like they're even chunkier, and they were already pretty darn chunky. But they just seem a bit wider to me, which is not a bad thing. It's just, yeah. And I'm not sure you'll be able to tell unless you really hold it up beside another one. My desk would be covered in dolls right now if I were to hold all of them up beside each other, but I'm just pointing it out. So when you're in the store, if you look, her shoe is just pretty darn huge. Which, again, not better or worse, just different. Just different. And I think her dress might be slightly longer in the front, but only slightly. Again, these are not big differences. And I also noticed, which I don't think I've ever gotten to show up on my camera, but she has lines. Maybe you can see it there. There are lines going this way, where like the shimmery colors show up, which I find interesting because the old 80s doll, that's the direction of the material. They were in like these lines going down. Whereas the other two 16-inch rainbows I have, it's more of a splotchy, like tie-dye design. But this one actually has lines in it. So again, could only be this one, not necessarily all of them, but just wanted to point out that it is a difference. But everything else, pretty certain, is exactly the same. So there she is. Then we've got the two standalone itty bitties, Rainbow and Twink. Now they do not have a gray tush tag. The tush tag looks the same except it says November 15. And it also says November on their tag. Oh, maybe it's right here. And these also do still say find more Rainbow Brite at feeling.com. So they haven't changed that. And that's the same, yeah, that's the same on the other three I just showed you on Rainbow, Starlight, and Twink. They all say find more Rainbow Brite at feeling.com. Because if you remember yesterday, or whenever I post this, the other day, I was saying how the new Jumbo and the Clippies do not say that. They only have Hallmark links on them. So it's interesting to me that even though these were produced after those two, after the Clippies and the Jumbo, because those were in September, these were from November, they didn't change that. So it still says it. Again, draw your own conclusions as to what that means, but I had to point it out. And again, these look exactly the same. The only thing that is possibly different, and again, I don't think all of the ones in the store were like this, I found his stars and antenna to be sticking up better. Because, some of the ones you'll see, and you probably have some, are just kind of flattened back on their head and you really can't get them to stand up. But his are standing up really well on their own, and I'll show you in a minute in the 4-pack how it's the same way. But really, they look the same. There's no difference except for the date. And then, yeah, the last thing is the 4-pack. So again, everything looks the same, but on the bottom, where is it? Yep, right there in the middle, it says November 15. And this one, again, still says find more Rainbow Brite at Feelin.com. But, again, you'll notice the Sprites, their stars are sticking up fantastically. Their antenna and their stars. Because even in the 4-pack, I've seen ones where they're falling over one direction or the other. So maybe that is something that they have fixed a little bit. They don't really feel or look different to me. So I'm not sure what they would have done differently to make them stand up. But I think they may have done something to make them stick up a little more. But again, that's the only difference I've seen. Everything else looks exactly the same. So, this is not to, like, worry anyone, like, oh, I should have waited and got the second run. No, you did the right thing if you already got these guys, because I really think the first run dolls are eventually going to be worth more than the second run, because there was a lesser number of them produced. And maybe that was just Hallmark being conservative because they didn't know how well these were going to sell. So they only produced a particular amount. And then once they realized that stock was running low and there was still demand, they made more. So, yeah, so hold on to the first run dolls if you have them. And again, this may only matter to a small percentage of Rainbow Brite collectors in the future, but I still feel like it will matter to some. So there's going to be first run, second run. I'm not calling these waves because when I think of second wave in Rainbow Brite doll history, typically that meant different packaging, new characters coming out that had not been out before. So like back in the 80s, first wave I think was like Rainbow Brite, Patio Green, Red Butler, maybe Canary Yellow. And then later came Buddy Blue, Indigo, Shy Violet, etc. So this is just a different run, not a different wave of dolls. I don't even know if there's going to be another wave of dolls at this point. But I think that's all of those differences I wanted to point out. I made myself some notes so I wouldn't forget anything. Yeah. So the only other thing I wanted to point out, and this has nothing to do with the second run, but you remember I showed off my jumbo itty bitty. Somebody noticed that her hair was not, it didn't have a point in the middle. I'm zoomed in, so I'm having to like use my finger, it looks massive. It was just tucked up under, and I didn't realize it. Just like the small itty bitties. Oh, let me zoom this back in, sorry. Just like the small itty bitties, their hair, can sometimes get tucked up under, like I'll show you here. You see her hair? If I just push it under, it'll stay that way unless I pull it back out. So the jumbo is just the same way. So if you get one and her hair is not coming to a point in the middle, just reach your hand up there and pull it down, and there you go. While I'm here, I'm just going to show you a couple of things I bought recently. These are vintage items that a fan up in Canada was selling off, and I thought they were too cute. So these are earmuffs, white Rainbow Brite earmuffs. I already have some blue ones, and I think red ones exist. I'm not sure if I have those or not, but I got a set of the white ones. Even had the little card that they came with. Cute! And then this item is not from the 80s. This was from the early to mid 2000s, but these are Rainbow Brite flip-flops. And they're super chunky. They're not even my size, so it's not like I'm going to wear them. Just looking to see. Yeah, it just says copyright Hallmark licensing. I'm not sure exactly what company manufactured these. Yeah, it just says Hallmark. But anyway, these were a thing that was made several years ago, and I remember seeing them back then, but I either never came across them or I just didn't want them badly enough at the time. But when she was selling them off, I was like, yeah, I think now's the time that I should add these to my collection because they're super cute. Okay, that's all for today. I hope that made sense. If you're confused about what I mean on any of this, feel free to ask me questions. I'm more than happy to answer. I think this will be the last toy review until next year, but I will try to do the museum tour very soon. I know the holidays are coming up, so things are going to get a little crazy, but I'll try to fit it in as quickly as I can. Okay? Please be patient. I love you guys. You're the best fans ever. And I hope you all have happy holidays if I don't talk to you again before then. And I'll see you guys later. Have a rainbow day. Bye.